Okay, so identifying the organic layers. So, how do we do this? Well, um, what do we know about organic layers? So, they are not miscible with water, right? So, that's the hint I'm going to give you for proceeding in this experiment and or this part of the experiment. We have four unknowns, and um, basically, what you'll have is something that's labeled 1, something that's labeled 2, something that's labeled 3. What do you think the last one's labeled? 4. Nice. All right, so basically, what I want you to do is lay out a procedure telling me what you would do to figure out which is the organic layer and which is the aqueous layer. You have 4 options. So referring to your lab procedures, you have saturated aqueous sodium bromide, you have DI water, which is deionized water, and then you have N-butyl chloride and N-butyl bromide. Now, basically, I'm just going to tell you, N-butyl chloride and N-butyl bromide are the organic layers. Okay, so those are the N-butyl refers to like it's like a butane group, and it's a straight chain butane group, not branched, and it's got a chloride on there or a bromide on there. And saturated aqueous sodium bromide is an aqueous solution of sodium bromide salt. So aqueous meaning water, right? And sodium bromide is a salt, so it does affect the density. And so this is where it's important to understand that you can't just always use density. You need to figure out how to use water to your advantage and figure out really what the organic layer is and what the aqueous layer is. Remember, water does mix with water and it doesn't mix with the organic layer. So you want to use water as that tool to figure out which is which. But then distinguishing maybe between the aqueous sodium bromide solution and DI water might be a little difficult. And then you're going to have to use, what's the difference between those going to be? It's going to be density, right? So you're going to want to use that as a way, because otherwise the two mix together. And so that's it. Basically, long story short, figure it out how you would do it, lay out a plan, a flow chart, send it to me, and then what I'll do is after that I'm going to send you a video of me performing the experiment, and you can come to the conclusion as to what is what. Okay? Cool. 2 thumbs up. All right, here we go. So, I'm back, y'all. Let's check this out. So I got a test tube, okay? And here's my little squirt bottle, DI water. Just a little bit in there, right? We don't need a lot. Now I've got unknown number 1. Okay. Unknown number 1. And what we want to do is add a couple drops to this and see what happens. Okay? Does it mix? So, like, is it miscible, or does it form 2 layers? And if it forms 2 layers, where does it go? So what I would do is I want to add it slowly, just to see what happens. So you can kind of see something happening, right? There's almost like a little, let's see if that helps with the little contrast. Let's see. There's just something happening, right? Now I'm going to squirt a bunch in there. It's like turbulence almost, right? It's like it's smoking in there, but nothing, not really. Like I don't know how to describe it. I would call them swirling lines. There is a German word for it. Totally forget what it is. But in the end, we've got one layer. Okay, so the two are miscible with one another, and they mix fine. So let's take a look at number 2. So we'll squirt a little bit of DI water in there, and now we're going to squirt a little bit of unknown 2 in here. Okay. Now I'm going to do slowly. Drop, drop. Let's do the glove thing again. Drop. So now, you might not be able to see it so easily, but you see that weird little bubble that formed right here? Let's watch that, see if that gets bigger as I add more. Ooh. See how it dropped to the bottom? Ooh. Cool. Give it a little shaky shake. Watch out, see how it ended up basically at the bottom? So, what we can conclude from that is there's 2 layers, right? And this particular substance, unknown 2, went to the bottom. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it means that it's more dense than water. Okay? So, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to put these real quick. Water and some aqueous thing, water and some organic thing, right? It has to be organic because it was not miscible. It was immiscible. Test 2. All right, so let's check out number 3. We've got our water. Let's do the glove thing. The lighting, man. It's difficult to work with. So lighting, we see a little, we're dropping it in slowly. You might be able to see that layer forming at the top. Okay, let's see if we put more in, see what happens to that bubble. It's just growing, right? So you can see there's clearly 2 layers. There's this top one. That's what grew, okay? So number 3 is probably organic, and it's less dense than water. So we've got another tube right here. We've got water, okay, and we've got the last unknown. Okay, so let's put that in here, and we should know what happens because we saw. We should know what to expect when we look at those unknowns. So notice there's only 1 layer. There's not 2 layers, and it just gets bigger and bigger. Okay, so we can differentiate between the organic layers right now. We've completed enough of the work to determine what number 2 is and what number 3 is, but basically we don't know what 1 and 4 are. We need to figure that out. And how are we going to do that? Well, we do know that one of them is DI water, and this whole time we've been working with DI water. So why not use one of them and see if it produces the same results as it did with the DI water? Okay, so for example, 1 and 4 we've decided are going to be our aqueous solution or just DI water, right? So let's place 1. Yeah, how about that? Let's do 4. Okay, so let's do number 4 in here. So number 4 goes inside of this tube. Okay, now if number 4 were DI water, what would happen if we placed number 2 in it? Okay, so well, here's my old number 2, and if you took notes properly, then you would know that that lower bubble is the number 2. Okay, that's where the number 2 liquid went. So let's take a look at here. See what happens when I add the liquid. Not super obvious yet. It's hard to see. You can see 2 layers forming, right? Remember, this one required a little bit of shaking. So now we can see that that second layer fell to the bottom. You can also tell by the volume of the liquid that's in here, right? So I only added a little bit of the unknown number 2. You can see that it is right there on the bottom. It dropped when I gave it a little shake. Okay, and if you want proof of that, how about this? Difficult to see, right? What we can do is, what I'm going to do is add a bunch. And you can see the layer on the bottom will get bigger. So after I give it a little shake, it's allowed to kind of break through and then fill up the bottom layer. Now it's a little bit higher at the top. Okay, so here. Okay, well that was number 4 with unknown number 2. That's exactly what happened when we mix DI water with unknown number 2. That doesn't mean that we're done, right? We still need to check out unknown number 1 with number 2 and see what happens. So, unknown number 1. Okay, so we've got unknown number 1 here. Now, unknown number 2. Let's try it again. You can see the volume going up. And let's take a look more closely. Where is that layer building? It is right here. Oh, you can see it there now, right? Right there. That's the small layer, right? The small layer is what the small amount of number 2 that I've just added. Let's give it a little shake to see if it falls to the bottom. Okay, well, it doesn't. It's staying at the top. So what does that mean? Let's add a little bit more just for funsies. Let's see, was that a better angle? That might be a better angle for you guys. Don't believe me. Just watch. Look. Top layer is getting bigger, right? Okay. And that's it. So what happened? What is your conclusion? Okay. Think about it write it down, rewatch the video, come to the conclusion, and then let me know in your lab report. Okay, so that's pretty much it for identifying the organic layer. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try and answer them. If it's giving you too much information, then sorry, I'll tell you though. Doesn't hurt to ask.